Okay, so tonight's homework, we're going to talk about how to get a mastery score for this latest proficiency, how to get a B. And that's about being able to identify the character's actions and how they advance the plot of the story. So at the end of the presentation, you'll learn even more about how the character's actions advance or move along the plot or the events of the story. So what you're looking at right now is just a basic plot line. This should seem familiar to you. Hopefully you've seen this again and again throughout your school years so far. Basically, the story starts with the exposition or the beginning of the story. It then moves into the rising action where the characters and conflicts are introduced and developed, leading to the climax or where the conflict is at its worst. This is the most suspenseful part of the story. Then it goes into the falling action where the conflict is now winding down and hopefully being resolved or fixed. Not all stories do fix the conflict though, especially stories in a series. I should just mention that. And then you move on to the resolution or the end of the story where hopefully the conflicts are resolved. So again, thinking about how the story moves through a plot line, keep that in the back of your mind as we continue and talk about how the characters' actions help develop the plot line. So, to get a mastery score on your test, you need to be able to pull at least 3 or more events into the plot that explain the character's actions and how they change the events of the story. You should be using a lot of the same terminology and quotes from the front of the page of your test, so you'll be flipping back and forth a lot. You're basically going to be writing a summary of the story, but you're going to use the quotes from the front of the test to describe the character's actions and how they direct the path that the story takes. So your test will look like on the back side a series of boxes and then a space for you to write a pretty detailed paragraph. So what you should do is you should go back to the front of your test and pick a few quotes from the front that fall in the order of the story, so they go in a chronological pattern or the way that the story actually goes that you read, and place them into these boxes. You can obviously shorten them into note-like form to make them fit, but stick with the actual quotes as much as possible so that you will in fact use those to help develop your summary paragraph. So the quotes that you select should tell the entire story from start to finish. In other words, if you briefly look at these boxes, and I think on your test you have at least 5 boxes. I could only fit 4 on this one, but on your test you have at least 5. The actual rubric asks that you at least choose 3. So you have to at least pick 3 quotes or 3 actions from the character of the story to help tell the plot. So you decide anywhere from 3 to, 5 or 6 or however many you feel like is going to be needed. But remember, this is a summary, so we do want to keep it short and hopefully fit in the paragraph allotment that I've given you on the test. So you're going to write the summary of the story or the plot, and you're going to include a couple of these quotes to support the fact that those character actions actually support your retelling of the story or move along the plot. So you're going to be flipping back and forth a lot. Please remember that detail and use some of the quotes from the front of your paper to help support your retelling of the plot line of the story. Okay, it's that simple, that easy. Please go back to your WISC and write a short summary and ask a question, and we'll continue talking or moving through this qualifier in class, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more detail about what you should do to get a B on this test. And again, the next video's homework will be talking about how to shoot for the A. We briefly talked about it in the last video, but I'm going to go more in detail on how exactly to put it together in the next video. So I'll see you in class tomorrow. Your WISC will be due at the beginning of the period tomorrow too, by the way.